Magic the Gathering. It's a card game enjoyed by millions around the world. It's a game with an old and storied community known far and wide, and generally speaking, the competitive Magic community is well respected thanks to the decades-long legacy behind the game itself. But there is a lesser talked about, dark secret regarding the Magic community that has become more realized in recent years. That secret being, the Magic community has a bit of a crack problem. No, not that kind of crack. This kind of crack. And the man hardstyle posing in this photo next to the crack was the one responsible for exposing it to the masses. In 2014, this man, who's now known by many as Crackstyle Guy, would go to a Magic the Gathering tournament and take a collection of photos that showcased the Magic community in all of its bareback glory. He would post his photography on Reddit, and this post would end up becoming one of the most upvoted Reddit threads of all time. But not everyone was happy about this situation. Some felt that the Magic community was being negatively represented by these photos, with some claiming the photos were propagating a negative stereotype that wasn't necessarily true. And this would turn into drama which would ultimately result in one of the most controversial bans in Magic the Gathering's history. And I'm here to tell you guys all about it. This is the story of Grand Prix Richmond Crackstyle. This story begins March 7th of 2014 at the Greater Richmond Convention Center located in Richmond, Virginia. The event, Magic the Gathering's Grand Prix Tournament Series. There were a total of 4,303 registered players to attend, making this particular Grand Prix event one of the biggest Magic tournaments in the history of the game. One of the players in attendance was a 23-year-old Magic amateur hailing from Columbus, Ohio named Sid Blair. Sid had made the nearly 500-mile drive from Ohio to Richmond, Virginia, not just to enter the tournament, but also to hang out with his Magic the Gathering community friends and also just to nerd out for a couple of days. In regard to tournament performance, Sid would actually win a handful of Magic matches, but he was ultimately knocked out of the tournament early in the first day. So for the rest of the weekend, he would pretty much spend his time screwing around in the convention center. And with nothing but time to kill and Sid's friends being busy in their own Magic duels, he started to get creative in regards to entertaining himself. See, during his time at the tournament, Sid had made a passive observation that there was an abundance of exposed ass crack in this convention center. Like, it was everywhere. Magic players hunched over, intently focusing on their games and paying little attention to if their tuchus was hanging out of their pants mid-match. And Sid thought to himself, I'm gonna document this. I'm gonna show the world what I'm seeing here. And then he began his romp around the convention center looking for any exposed backside that he could. After finding some exposed crack, Sid would stealthily set up his phone on top of his gear, initiate the photo timer, get in position, and crack style. He was impressed with the results of the first photo, and the Magic player that he took the photo of was completely oblivious. So he decided to continue with these photo bombings until he had a legendary catalog of ass crack photos.
I saw the first guy and I was like, you know what, I'll do one of these. It would be pretty funny to, memorialize my Grand Prix experience, my first big, traveling 8 hours or whatever to the tournament to do this. And I just kept seeing them, kept doing them. I don't know.
After the tournament weekend had concluded, Sid would return home and he deliberated on what he should do with these pictures. Initially, he decided to upload them to his personal Instagram, and they were well received, with many of his friends telling him that they were absolutely hilarious. After seeing the positive response on Instagram, Sid decided to go big and upload the entire butt crack catalog to Imgur and create a Reddit thread showcasing it. Using his account Obi1FBM, Sid posted his Reddit thread on March 10th to the rfunny subreddit, and this is what he titled the post. I participated in one of the biggest Magic the Gathering tournaments of all time this weekend. In an effort to document it, I posed for pictures near people with exposed ass cracks. I present to you Grand Prix Richmond Crackstyle. After posting the image collection, Sid would monitor the Reddit thread for about half an hour, noticing it got a few upvotes, but eventually he logged off Reddit and went out with some friends for the evening. But unbeknownst to Sid, while he was out with friends, his thread began to pick up steam on Reddit. It started to receive hundreds of comments and thousands of upvotes. In an extremely short period of time, it went viral. Dude, the prayer hands thing is cracking me up. I hope you brought some Febreze with you. In my experience, the smell of Magic the Gathering groups could strip the paint off a Foot Locker. I can taste the smell of that place through the picture. Later in the evening, Sid returned home and checked his Reddit thread and was completely blown away by the response that it was getting.
And then I went out, hung out with some friends, then came back and went to sleep and woke up and it was popped off. When I woke up, I had hundreds of texts, hundreds of calls, hundreds of emails.
Oh my God.
That's stupid. But, actually emails, because at the time I had Reddit replies, I believe, sent to my email.
His post had gotten so popular that it made the front page of Reddit. And in the following days, online articles were being written about Sid's photography. Hell, even Time magazine wrote a web article about him. But with the fame would come trouble. While most people out there just thought that these photos were genuinely funny, there was a small portion of people who felt like what Sid was doing was pretty disrespectful, basically taking these photos without someone's permission and plastering them across the internet for random internet users to gawk at. Oh, and Magic the Gathering's tournament sanctioning body was pissed about this too. Duelist Convocation International, or DCI, which is the sanctioning body for Magic, was very much displeased with the popularity of the Magic player crack photos online. The folks over at the sanctioning body felt that Sid's photo collection was propagating negative stereotypes long associated with Magic players. Stereotypes suggesting that Magic players are unkempt, overweight, unhygienic weirdos. Essentially claiming that Sid was posting these photos as a malicious attack on his fellow Magic players, playing on the stereotype for quick laughs. Just briefly, I want to add this in. I guess he would be making fun of himself as well, because in one of these photos you can literally see a smidgen of his ass hanging out of his pants, but anyways. Now, with the criticisms from people online who thought this was wrong and the DCI, Sid would actually respond to some of this stuff in online articles, and I'll read one response here that I think sums up how he felt about the matter at this time. Quote, "My goal was to make myself and my friends laugh. We have an odd sense of humor, and I find this sort of thing funny. I decided to post the pictures I took the day after I got back. I figured a few people would think it was funny and the rest of the world would think I was really weird. I kept it anonymous and never intended to shame, bully, or harass anyone." But regardless of Sid's intentions with this collection of photos, Magic's sanctioning body felt that he did need to be punished for what he did. And punished he was. This was the statement from Magic. With more than 4,300 players, the Magic the Gathering Grand Prix event in Richmond, Virginia was one of the largest face-to-face gaming events to ever take place. Many players in attendance were participating in their first ever Magic tournament, and they experienced the courteous and respectful environment full of camaraderie and excitement that the Magic community is known for. Unfortunately, the experience at Grand Prix Richmond was dampened for many because of the hurtful acts of an on-site participant. As a result, we have reached out to the members of the judge community that make up the investigation committee, who have communicated with the player that they have reviewed the event and handed down a recommendation for action that we feel is appropriate and have acted on. And that recommendation was a temporary ban lasting 18 months.
I said that I wasn't, trying to be a bully or anything like that, and I wasn't trying to be shitty to these people. And he was like, okay, well, we'll take that into account. And then a couple days later, he emailed me and said that I was banned for 18 months. I'll have a discussion with anybody about it. And I think that if anybody talks with me about it, then they would understand at least the context of my character and the context of who I am, that it wasn't, shitty or anything like that. Like, I didn't do it to make fun of anyone specifically or be malicious or bullying.
Naturally, considering the overwhelming amount of support Sid got for these photos originally, I'm sure you can imagine that there was quite a bit of backlash to this ban and that people felt that it was generally unfair. And you can't really blame people for feeling that way, because none of the people in the photos had publicly complained or request Sid to take them down, and at the end of the day, it was just a joke. But hey, I can see both sides. Like, I don't think I would want someone taking photos of my ass if it was hanging out, but I don't think I would put myself in that position in the first place. Maybe you'd catch me slipping, who knows. But anyways, regardless of how people felt about it at the time, Magic's sanctioning body remained firm on the decision to temporarily ban, and Sid would be forbidden from sanctioned tournaments for the next year and a half. Sid would take this L, but honestly, it was hard for him to feel bad about anything at this time because he was a bona fide internet celebrity because of this drama. He found himself being photoshopped in all sorts of ass crack photos that had nothing to do with Magic. Additionally, other people would wind up going out in the wild and replicating his iconic crack style pose just because of how legendary the man was. By July of 2014, Sid's original Reddit thread had become the most upvoted Reddit thread in the history of the website, surpassing the former record holder, the famous test post please ignore post. It accrued over 29,000 upvotes at this time. Small potatoes to the numbers you see today, but this was #1 in 2014. It's crazy. But as with any meme-fueled stint of relevance, there's always a decline. As 2015 had come around, some time had passed since Sid's Crackstyle Reddit thread post blew up, and the memes would lose steam. Though Crackstyle would get another small bump in relevance later in 2015 in September, because this is when Sid's Magic the Gathering tournament ban was lifted. And when it was lifted, this was truly a return of the king moment for Sid. On September 14th, he took to Reddit announcing his tremendous return to Magic the Gathering. "I'm no longer banned from playing in Magic tournaments. I have risen from the ashes to defend my honor against the scrubs of Earth. Prepare yourselves." And that pretty much caps off the entire story here. Ever since this happened, Sid has pretty much lived his life as a living meme. He no longer takes ass crack photos, but he does still play Magic, remains an internet legend, and overall boss. If you want to follow this guy on social media, he has a pretty slick Instagram account. It's at big with 2 G's pound. Check him out and show the man some love. But anyways, that's the story of Crackstyle. What do you guys think about this one? Did you think that Sid's photobombing prank was disrespectful, or do you feel like his ban was justified? I think you could argue both ways on the ban itself, but in regards to like dying on the hill of protecting people who were just like negligently displaying their smelly ass crack at a gaming tournament, I don't want to die on that hill. Like, we can all do better, guys. But let me know what you think down below in the comments section, and let me know who or what you want me to talk about next. I want to give a major shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys. Wavy Web Surf out. Peace.